So this pile here is an overflow pile for my compost. This is compost that I can use it this year if I needed to. I would. This is 2-year-old compost, but it has not been maintained. And by maintain, it hasn't been turned. It's just been sitting there basically anaerobic. So the color's good. The smell is good. It has no smell to it, but it smells like dirt, right? Which is good. It's crumbly to some extent, but it needs to be turned. But this is my overflow, and what I will do is I will mow here and take this pile, just like I do all my other piles, and shovel this over here, wait a week or two, shovel it back, and keep going back and forth. But this is next year's compost anyway, so it really can sit right there. But not bad looking compost. Not bad. There's still some shavings, some sawdust, and a little bit of grass in there, dead grass decomposing. That wouldn't hurt it to wait another season, but I wouldn't be bashful about using that this season if I had to either. So here is an update on what some call the ugliest trellis they've ever seen. On the other hand, I've gotten quite a few comments on it and compliments on it. So, but some people, if it's not bought in the store and costs a lot of money, then it's pretty ugly. I'm not for show, folks. I am for growing something and getting something out of my time and effort. So, as you can see, this end, which is the lower end, and it gets full sun here, full sun. This end is not doing as well, and they're lighter colored than uphill a little bit. They're a little bit darker colored. They're growing pretty good. And these beans were placed 6 inches apart for the most part. So they're doing all right. They're not doing spectacular. My compost pile used to be here, so I figured that I'd have too much nitrogen, but maybe I've got too much nitrogen. That's why they're not growing as well as I had hoped. But still, I'm going to get some beans out of it. I'm not sure when I planted this, maybe a month ago. Pole beans grow a little bit slower than bush beans, but still it's not living up to what I had expected. So I did side dress it with some of that compost that I showed you a few minutes ago. I did that last night. Now over here, let me show you something. Some of you remember that I plant achocha. I really like achocha. I love the stuffed achocha. I like them when they're about 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. They taste just like a cucumber. So that seems to like it here. But we'll see. We'll see, folks. This right here is one of my experiment patches. I've got a new variety that I just planted the same time I did the potatoes. It's just a log, cut off log that was hollowed out. I believe that was a popple. And I just threw some compost in that. And I just planted some short seasoned kohlrabi. So I don't expect that to come up for a few days. This right here is a tomato plant grown in, that plant was about 2 inches tall last week. I'm trying to see what I can grow in pure compost here because I have so much of it. I'm having a hard time getting loam here. There is a pile up the road that I have access to, but I have more compost than I do actual dirt, believe it or not. Which is not a bad thing, I guess, but you need loam too. But I'm seeing what I can grow in just straight compost. Now, this right here is not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. Around here, I planted some carrots like 2 or 3 days ago, and that's just in a wooden box. And the same with this one here, just in a wooden box, same thing. Here, I've got some zinnia plants started. Thanks to Kimmy, she sent me some zinnia seeds. And this, now the reason I'm using these is because these are the Dollar Tree pails, and when they develop cracks in them, I just use them as planters. Anything that doesn't mind warm soil, and a crack on the bottom helps it drain. So that's why I recycle everything, folks. And this one here, same thing. I've got carrots grown in there as a trial. So that's what I've got over here for trial plants. Oh, nope, I don't. Now over here, I was given this sink. An old sink. Well, not old, it's American Standard something. But it's pretty deep. It has a crack on the bottom of one of them. I planted some, under these boards here, I planted some carrot seeds. That board is there too. I'm just checking to make sure those haven't sprouted. Nope. Until the carrots sprout, and then I will lift the boards, of course, right? So, I've got carrots over here. And on this side over here, I had some real old dwarf delphinium seeds that I took a gamble on, and I think I've got one. So, one is better than none, right? One is better than none. And this is a new compost pile. I've turned it 3 times. This is chicken coop litter, and I turn it, well, I used to turn it every 2 weeks, but I like to experiment. I like to see what works for me here. So that pile is probably 10 feet by 3.5 feet tall and probably 7 feet wide. And that's just chicken coop litter that's been turned 3 times, and it needs to be turned again. It will be piled on top of these weeds and wet grass clippings that got stuck, in the lawnmower because I don't know enough not to mow the grass when it's wet, right? So this is what I am doing differently with this right here. I have a 24-inch compost thermometer probe that's stuck right in the middle of the compost pile, and that is showing 100 degrees. Now that is a steady, active, anywhere from 90 to 120, 30, I guess, is good to maintain a compost pile. It's not considered a hot compost pile. To get a hot compost pile, it's over 130. 130, they say, kills all the weed seeds. I don't mind pulling weeds, folks. So that is in there. That needs to be turned. I don't think it'll be turned today, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'm over here. I might just turn it after I get done here. But that right there, what I do is take this pile and I shovel it over here and wait a week or 2 and then shovel it back over here, and I'll do that, and that breaks down the compost pretty fast. There's several ways to compost. My old channel, I showed a quick cheater method on how I used to do my compost. Now I've got so much of it, folks, I don't really need to speed it up. This right here is compost for next year's garden. This was a third, again, the size it is now. Every time I take this pile over here and put it over here, it gets smaller and smaller as it breaks down, right? That's really good compost, folks. I can't complain about my composting here. So I took the time to turn that compost pile. Has a nice breeze, the sun is warm, the bugs are awful, but it used to be here. I need to take a spade over there. That's just a bunch of crappy dirt that was piled up when they built the road years ago. I need to take a spade and make that into garden soil. I will, not today though. But this was, before I turned it, this pile was 100 degrees. Now that I've turned it, it is almost 90. That will heat up in no time. Let those microbes do their work over the weekend. So I won't be able to monitor that over the weekend. But that doesn't look bad. It still has an ammonia smell for sure. Well, two people stopped by as I was turning this. One is a quite comical story, which I will share. The other one was my stepdad. He told me it was too warm to be shoveling shit. Well, I told him it was future compost, and he kind of chuckled at that. And then he went on his way, told me to take breaks when I need to, you know, the whole thing, which I do. But the other people came over. They weren't going by. The other people came over intentionally to prove a 13-year-old young man that he didn't know shit. So some of you are going to get quite a chuckle out of the story. I will share that today because I'm still chuckling over it, but I'm also shaking my head in a little bit of disappointment at some of our youth, right? That someday will run this country. Not every one of the youth are like that, but you've got some that, you know everything. Life is easy. You're working too hard, just go to the store, buy it, you know, just like the trellis there. Go to the store and buy it. So, you know, go spend your money on something that will work for a few seasons, probably made of plastic. Who knows what it's made out of, when you can take a few minutes, go cut some poles. Doesn't cost you anything but time. And use your brain a little bit, thinking outside the box. This generation coming up, boy, oh boy, I can tell you, this country is in a lot of trouble. You wait till you hear the story, folks. All right, I'm taking a break.